Well, I grew up with, there were 8 kids in the family and 7 girls and 1 boy. Well, my father, he worked in Syracuse, and we were there when we were kids, but he knew how to do electrical work. So when we came back here, he practically wired everybody's house. And then my mother, she worked all the time. As we were growing up, when we were, well, she had 8 kids, she had to take care of the children. But any chance she had to go to work, she went to work too. But she was when she was working in Syracuse, she was working for some, like the chapels. They ran a department stores, and she was a housekeeper, and she was a cook. So when she came back here, we always said that she taught everybody on the res how to cook spaghetti. Growing up, I worked for Alcoa coming right out of high school for 6 years. And then I had 3 kids, and we lived in Syracuse, and I came home from there and I had to look for work. I worked at the Mohawk School, and then I worked for the lawyer in Messina, Elihu Chase. And while I was working in Messina, we got education on the reserve, modern day college courses here in the library. And we went to school at night for 5 years to get an associate's degree, and then 3 years to get a degree from St. Lawrence University in Canton. See, I was working full-time with not very good wages, and I had to find another job. So that was a part-time job at the tribe, taking minutes for the meetings, the general meetings. When I was sitting at the table with the chiefs, one time I remember trying to put in my 2 cents, tell them something was wrong.
Yeah.
And they told me to shut up, you work for us. You can't talk, you work for us. It wasn't so much that, it's just that women didn't do it. There weren't women, chiefs were men, that's all. Nobody else was saying what I was saying.
And what were you saying?
Well, most of it was on the membership. Women were not on the membership.
They weren't on the membership?
They were on the membership, but if they married anybody off the reserve, they were taken off the membership, and their children were not put on. That applied to just women. For instance, my brother married a woman from Messina, and he stayed on the membership, and all of his children were on the membership. But I married somebody from Saint Regis who was Mohawk, and my name was taken off the membership, and my children could not be put on the membership. So that was an issue as we were growing up. Didn't make any difference. You still married somebody off the reserve, but you knew you were going to be put off the roll. The membership people were getting medical from the Indian Affairs. Once you were off the membership, you didn't get any medical. Well, that was the main issue. And then when you try to say, can we do something about it, they'd say, well, there's no way to do it. You can't change things. You couldn't change things. There was no referendum policies, so you could put an issue on the membership, a vote. There was none. Well, Brenda LaFrance, when she came in, she was the second chief, so it was 2 women on council. So with her on, it was really, we were stronger. I think so. It could be done. It was no big deal. I mean, it was a big deal to do it, just to run. But to me, it no longer became an issue that it was a woman or not a woman, or a man or woman. You know what I mean? It was just the people. But at the time, it seemed like off the reserve, it became more noted that there was a woman on the reserve. I think it was sort of controversial, if I remember. Most of it was because we were changing things. Things were changing. The fact that we put the membership in, that was it. To me, that was the main thing. And we put in a referendum policy so that we could have votes. It was a positive response, but the other main thing was that the traditional council had no authority anywhere. There was no way the traditional people could do anything. They had a Mohawk council, and they had 13 people, same as now, and they had the tribal council, and all of them protected their territory, and the traditional council had nothing, no way to get in. So when I came in and Brenda was in and Harold was in, it became more open. We actually had a meeting, the first meeting I think, with the traditional council and Mohawk council and us. There was the three councils it's in the post office building. That was where the meeting was. There was about 25 chiefs in there. And at that time, that got well known. So that became the issue for getting me out of there.
They were looking to get you out of there? Like how so?
On the votes. So they brought in a man who had been working in Washington, D.C. and in the government in Washington, and ran him against me, and he won. But the men were against having women. And I talked to one man and I said, well, it was, why can't you accept a woman on council? And they said it would diminish things for the men. We always had the land claims, and they thought there was going to be a settlement, and they wanted men in control. So that was...
Isn't that like a little...
sexist?
Yeah, no, of course it is. But like in our culture, aren't women like...
You're talking traditional council.
Yeah.
Your traditional is women.
But it's completely different when it comes to the tribe, though.
Yep. And it was completely different in those days, really completely different. Oh, I got a divorce. That's why I was able to get back on council. Once I was divorced, I could put my name back on, and then I was able to run. But the problem with that is that once I was out of council and the men were starting to get back in again, they changed the rules so that people who lived in the village could not run on the American side. That meant I could never run again. Of course, I lost 2 elections. 2 men. So some of my friends wrote to St. Lawrence University, and once I became chief, I got a lot of awards, some of their community awards. And it sort of got published around the state about being a chief, being the first chief. So there was different organizations that I got awards for.